My name is Aaron Cole. 3 years ago, I was just another software engineer drowning in debt and ambition, living in a quiet, mid-sized city called Riverside Bay. Nothing glamorous, just long nights, cold coffee, and a belief that if I worked hard enough, something would eventually break through. I was married to Maya Cole. Or at least, I thought I was happily married. That night, I was sitting at my workstation, 3 monitors glowing, code flowing, fingers moving faster than my thoughts. I was close. I could feel it. The system I'd been building for years, a predictive engine that could identify patterns others couldn't, was finally behaving the way I'd always imagined. Then she said it. Aaron, we need to talk. I didn't look up. 5 minutes. Primera, suyare. I just need to finish this loop. No, she said. Sharp. Final. Now. I turned around. She was standing near the door with 2 suitcases. Not 1. 2. Perfectly packed. Her hair was styled. Her coat was tailored. She looked prepared. My stomach dropped. What's going on? I asked, already knowing. She placed a thick envelope on the table between us. Divorce papers. I've already signed. The word hit harder than any insult ever could. Divorce. I stood up. Maya, what are you talking about? We're just going through a phase. Every couple, she laughed, but there was no warmth in it. A phase. Aaron, I've been waiting 3 years for you're almost there. I'm tired of living in potential. I'm close, I said, my voice cracking. This platform. It's different. That's what you said last time. And the time before that, she crossed her arms. I've met someone else. Silence swallowed the room. Who? I asked. Victor Halle. The name landed slowly, then detonated. Victor Halle. Tech mogul, founder of Halle Dynamics, a man whose interviews I'd studied, whose empire I admired from a distance I never thought I'd cross. How? I whispered. I applied to work at his firm 6 months ago, executive operations. She hesitated. I didn't tell you. You were with him while I was here. Yes. And you didn't think that mattered. He can give me the life I want, she said flatly. The life you promised. I looked around the apartment, cheap furniture, wires everywhere, unfinished dreams in every corner. And love? I asked quietly. Do you love him? She paused just long enough to answer honestly. I don't love this anymore. Then she said the sentence that burned itself into my brain. He flies private, Aaron. He lives in the world where people actually win. I felt something shift inside me. Not anger yet. Something colder. As she moved toward the door, a final thought stopped me. Did you tell him about my work? She froze. He was curious, she said. I may have shared some concepts. That was it. Not just betrayal. Execution. She left without looking back, and standing there alone, staring at my screens, I made a decision. If they thought I was nothing, I would become the thing they couldn't ignore. The apartment felt wrong after Maya left. Too quiet, too empty. Like the air itself had decided to move on without me. I didn't sleep that night. I poured myself a glass of cheap whiskey, the kind we'd been saving for a special occasion. Funny how life decides what special really means. By the 3rd glass, my hand stopped shaking. Beitfurt. My thoughts sharpened. Maya hadn't just left me. She'd handed pieces of my work to Victor Halle, a man with unlimited capital, armies of lawyers, and the patience to crush anyone inconvenient. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I was alert. At dawn, I called Daniel Ross, an old friend who specialized in intellectual property law. She told him, what? He snapped after I explained. Concepts. Architecture. Maybe logic paths. Danielle exhaled sharply. You ever have her sign in Andy? I laughed bitterly. She was my wife. Rookie mistake, he said, but not fatal. Document everything. Commits, timestamps, notebooks, drafts. If Halle launches something even vaguely similar, we'll have ammunition. Can I win? He paused. Against Halle Dynamics. Not quickly. Not cheaply. Then I don't fight him yet, I said. I beat him. Daniel went quiet. Finish the product. Go public first. Make it yours before he can touch it. That was the moment obsession replaced grief. For the next 72 hours, I didn't leave my chair. I slept in 15-minute bursts. I lived on caffeine and rage. I rewrote entire sections of the engine, tightening logic, eliminating redundancies, adding layers Victor would never understand without the full picture. On the fourth day, my doorbell rang. A courier stood there with a slim black envelope. Inside was a check for $40,000 and a letter printed on heavy paper. We acknowledge conceptual overlap between your independent research and an upcoming Halle Dynamics initiative. This payment reflects goodwill and closure. Closer. That's what Victor Halle thought my life's work was worth. I didn't hesitate. I tore the check in half. Then again. And then I made the call. Michael Grant, I said when the line picked up. You still interested in seeing something unconventional? The next morning, I sat across from Michael. A sharp-eyed early-stage investor known for betting on people, not polish. You look like hell, he said. Good, I replied. Means I'm honest. I didn't pitch. I demonstrated. I fed raw, chaotic data into the system. No pre-cleaning. No shortcuts. Within minutes, patterns surfaced. Variable signals no off-the-shelf system could detect. Michael leaned forward, silent, watching the screen like it might start talking back. This isn't just analytics, he finally said. It's foresight. It's unfinished, I replied. And it's ahead. By the end of the meeting, he slid a document across the table. $1.8 million. Seed funding. 18% equity. One condition, he added. You move fast. Halle won't wait. I shook his hand. Walking back into my apartment, something unfamiliar settled in my chest. Not revenge, momentum. And momentum, once it starts, doesn't ask for permission. Money doesn't change people overnight. It removes the brakes. Within 2 weeks of Michael's investment, I incorporated the company as Cole Insight Systems, deliberately choosing a clean name. No drama, no baggage. Just my name and the work. Quiet confidence. I hired carefully. No hype chasers, no resume collectors. Just 3 developers who understood something critical. This wasn't just code, it was leverage. The divorce finalized without a fight. Maya didn't ask for anything. That should have felt merciful. Instead, it felt like confirmation that she'd already written me off, long before she packed her bags. I signed the papers without rereading them. By month 3, the platform was stable enough to be dangerous. Michael pushed me to go public fast. If Halle launches first, perception becomes reality, he warned. You need the spotlight. So we applied and got accepted to Future Tech Summit, a mid-sized but respected industry conference in Brighton City. Not flashy, but the right audience. I didn't recognize myself in the mirror anymore. The hoodie disappeared. The sleep-deprived slouch straightened. Not because I wanted revenge, because credibility has a dress code whether we like it or not. On launch day, the room was packed. I spoke plainly. No buzzwords. No inflated promises. I showed what the platform did. How it pulled structure out of chaos. How it predicted behavior instead of reacting to it. I let the results talk. They listened. Then the questions started. Isn't Halle Dynamics launching something similar? I smiled. Similarity is cheap. Execution isn't. 2 enterprise clients signed pilot agreements on the spot. By the end of the week, We had inbound requests from firms that had never returned my emails before. That's when the announcement hit. Holodynamics delays analytics rollout. Technical challenges cited. Michael called me laughing. They tried to build it from half a story. I didn't celebrate. I moved. We opened a small office in Northland District, 10 minutes from Holodynamics headquarters. Not accidental. Visibility is a form of pressure. Press followed. From obscurity to disruption. One headline read, Coal Insight. The startup slowing a giant. Then came the invitation. Global Innovation Forum. Keynote panel. My name was listed directly above Victor Hale's. The night before the event, I barely slept. Not from nervous. From clarity. This wasn't about Maya anymore. This was about ownership. The auditorium was full. I delivered my talk cleanly, confidently, without fire. Just facts. The applause was real as I stepped off the stage. I saw him. Victor Hale stood near the aisle, arms folded, expression unreadable. And beside him, Maya. Her eyes widened when she saw me. Not anger, not hatred. Shock. Victor extended his hand. Impressive work, he said smoothly. Victor Hale. I shook it. Firm. Unapologetic. Aaron Cole. Any relation to Maya Cole? He asked. Forma, I replied. Something dark flickered in his eyes. As he moved toward the stage, Maya stayed behind. You've changed, she said quietly. Success has a way of clarifying things, I answered. She swallowed. Is this intentional? I smiled, not cruelly, not kindly. This is what happens when you don't stop building. Behind us, Victor's presentation began, and for the first time, his confidence sounded rehearsed. I realized something then. I hadn't chased him. I'd simply outgrown him, and that terrified him far more than revenge ever could. Victor Hale's presentation should have dominated the room. It didn't. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Where my talk had been precise and grounded, his felt overproduced, heavy slides, ambitious claims, thin substance. The audience sensed it. So did I. Maya stood beside me, silent. You didn't answer my question, she finally said. Are you doing this to us? I kept my eyes on the stage. I'm doing this for me. She nodded, but didn't look convinced. Over the next few weeks, comparisons flooded the industry. Analysts started publishing side-by-side breakdowns of Coal Insight systems versus Holodynamics. The verdict was rarely kind to Victor. Clients noticed. So did recruiters. 3 senior engineers from Holodynamics reached out within a month. Not out of loyalty, out of fear. Fear that they were stuck on the wrong side of the future. I hired, too. Victor responded the only way men like him know how lawyers. A lawsuit landed on my desk, claiming IP theft, trade secret violations, and corporate espionage. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't so predictable. Daniel was practically smiling when he read it. He's bluffing, he said. And badly. We countersued within 48 hours. The filing was surgical dates, version histories, emails, even internal Holodynamics documents our new hires legally provided, showing how incomplete their system was without my original architecture. The press went wild. Tech Titan accuses startup. Evidence tells another story. Investors wobbled for exactly 1 week. Then our valuation jumped. Michael called it a stress test. I called it confirmation. That's when the wedding invitation arrived. Cream paper, silver, ink, Victor Hale and Maya Hale. Request the pleasure of your company. Attached was a handwritten note from Maya. I hope we can put the past behind us. No hard feelings. I laughed out loud. Hard feelings weren't the problem. Timing was. IRS. VPD. Yes, then I called my CFO. I want a full breakdown of Holodynamics' financial exposure. Quietly, there was a long pause. Are you thinking what I think you're thinking? I'm thinking Victor expanded too fast and borrowed too much to stay impressive. 2 weeks later, the data confirmed it. Debt stacked on debt, shareholders restless, stock price propped up by optimism, not performance. I started buying shares. Not directly, never directly. Shell accounts. Friendly funds. Silent accumulation. Victor sensed something. The messages started. Back off. You're making a mistake. This ends badly for you. I forwarded everyone to. Then Victor made his move. A surprise press conference. Big promises, a sudden pivot into advanced AI. The market surged. Michael called immediately. He's trying to scare you. Good, I replied. He just told me he's nervous. The following week, we made our move. Coal Insight Systems announces tender offer for Halley Dynamics shares. The headline stunned the market. A 3-year-old company attempting a takeover of a legacy giant. What they didn't know was this. We already controlled 31% and enough votes to finish the job. Victor called me directly. You did this because of her, he spat. No, I said calmly. I did this because you underestimated me. The silence on the line was heavy. Enjoy your wedding, I added. Big day. I hung up, and for the first time, I understood something clearly. Victory doesn't roar. It tightens quietly around the throat. The morning of the wedding was calm, too calm. I dressed slowly in my hotel suite, overlooking Harbor Square, buttoning my shirt with deliberate patience. No rush. No nerves. When you've already won, urgency looks amateurish. My guest for the day wasn't romantic. It was Elena Brooks, my head of strategy. Sharp, composed, and fully aware of what was unfolding behind the curtain. We're not here to celebrate, I told her as the driver pulled up to the Grand Alcott Hotel. We're here to observe. The ballroom looked like a fantasy someone had overpaid for. White florals, crystal chandeliers, soft string music designed to convince everyone that nothing in the world could possibly go wrong today. Victor stood at the altar glowing with confidence. Maya walked toward him in a designer gown that probably cost more than my first year's rent. Once upon a time, that sight would have broken me. Now, nothing. The ceremony ended. Applause filled the room. Glasses clinked, and then phones began to vibrate. Victor noticed first. He checked his screen. Froze. Checked again. One by one, board members around the room stiffened, whispering urgently. Elena leaned toward me. It's live, she said quietly. I raised my glass. The headline was already spreading. Coal Insight Systems secures controlling interest in Halley Dynamics. Victor turned and saw me across the room. Recognition hit him like a delayed punch. He moved fast, too fast, pushing through guests until he stood in front of me, eyes blazing. You planned this today, he hissed. I accepted an invitation, I replied evenly. Everything else is business. Maya approached, confused. Victor, what's happening? He took the company. Victor snapped. Ask your ex. Her face drained of color as she looked at me. You did what? I invested wisely, I said. The shareholders agreed. This is revenge, she whispered. No, I corrected. This is consequence. Victor grabbed her arm. We need to talk. Now, guests were staring. Whispers filled the room. The perfect wedding had cracked down the middle. Later, on a quiet balcony, Maya faced me alone. You came to destroy us. I met her eyes. You invited me to watch you win. I stayed to watch the truth surface. Her voice shook. Is there anything left between us? I studied her carefully. No. Behind us, chaos erupted. Lawyers, security, panicked executives. Victor had lost control, and everyone could see it when he finally stormed toward me again, drunk and furious. His fists connected with my jaw in front of half the room. I didn't retaliate. I didn't need to. Security pulled him away while the guests stared in silence. As Elena and I walked out, she asked softly, "Worth it?" I touched my jaw, already bruising. I didn't come here to hurt him, I said. I came here to end it. By Monday morning, the wedding was no longer society news. It was business history. Every major outlet ran the same story with different headlines. Tech CEO loses company on wedding day, hostile takeover overshadows Hayoko wedding. Victor Hale was officially removed as CEO within 48 hours. The board didn't hesitate. Public instability plus collapsing investor confidence made the decision simple. I was appointed chairman, not out of ego, out of necessity. The company needed a steady hand, and right now, mine was the only one not shaking. Victor didn't go quietly. He gave interviews. Angry ones. Rambling ones. Each appearance damaged him further. The more he spoke, the more the narrative hardened. Brilliant founder, lost control, destroyed by his own arrogance. I watched exactly one clip. That was enough. Maya filed for separation 3 months later. Teprinab Sadi signed the one she waved off as standard paperwork, limited her settlement brutally. Without Victor's status, invitations stopped coming. Friends drifted. The luxury life evaporated faster than it had appeared. Meanwhile, Coal Insight Systems absorbed Hale Dynamics piece by piece. Redundant divisions were cut. Bloated management eliminated. De-engineers, the real builders, were finally allowed to work without politics choking them. Revenue stabilized, then climbed. The lawsuit Victor had filed quietly disappeared. Withdrawn. Daniel sent me the confirmation with a single line. He can't afford to lose publicly again. I never replied to Victor's final email. There was nothing left to say. At the next board meeting, someone asked the question everyone had been avoiding. Do we keep the Hale name? I didn't answer immediately. Then I said, yes. Confusion rippled across the table. Why carry his legacy? Someone asked. Because it's not his anymore, I replied. It's a reminder of where unchecked ego leads. Outside the boardroom, the city moved like it always had. Indifferent, fast, unforgiving. That night, alone in my office overlooking the skyline, I felt something unexpected. Not triumph. Relief. Revenge promises satisfaction. Closure delivers peace. I hadn't destroyed Victor Hale. He'd done that himself. I'd just stopped him from dragging me down with him. Maya reached out on a Tuesday night. No drama. No apology essay. Just a short message. Can we talk? I stared at the screen longer than I expected to. 3 years ago, I would have dropped everything. I would have driven across the city just to hear a voice explain why things fell apart. Now, I scheduled it. We met at a quiet cafe near Linden Park. Neutral ground. No memories attached. She arrived early. That alone told me everything. She looked different. Not ruined. Just smaller. The confidence she once borrowed from proximity to power was gone. What remained was raw and human. You look well, she said. So do you, I replied. It was polite. Nothing more. We sat. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she broke. I didn't think it would end like this. Victor isn't who I thought he was. He's exactly who he always was, I replied. You just weren't the one being crushed until now. She winced, but didn't argue. I was scared back then, she said. Scared of staying stuck. Of waking up 10 years later in the same apartment, with the same promises, and leaving fixed that. She hesitated. I thought it would. Silence again. Then she looked up at me, really looked. You're different. I am, I agreed. That's what happens when you stop asking for permission. Her voice softened. Do you ever think about us? About what we could have been? If no, I interrupted. Not harshly. Just honestly. I think about what I could be, Ben, if ED believed in myself sooner. That landed hard. She swallowed. I made a mistake. Yes, I said. You did. She leaned forward. But mistakes don't have to be permanent. We have history. We understand each other. We could repeat the same pattern. Primera, finished. Only this time with better restaurants. Her eyes filled, but I didn't look away. You didn't leave because I was failing, I continued. You left because you didn't believe I could win, and that's the one thing I can't build a future on. She shook her head. That's not fair. It's accurate. I stood, placing a few bills on the table. This version of me exists because you walked away, I said, but it doesn't belong to you. She stood too, desperation creeping into her voice. So that's it? After everything? Yes, I replied. That's it. At the door, she stopped me. I really did love you. I paused. Maybe, I said, but love that disappears when life gets hard isn't love, it's convenience. I walked out without looking back. Outside, the air felt lighter, not because I'd won, but because I'd finally closed the only door that still mattered. People assume the end of a story like this comes with fireworks. It doesn't. It comes quietly. A year after the takeover, Coal Insight Systems was no longer called a startup. It was infrastructure. Our platform ran inside banks, hospitals, logistics networks, places where failure wasn't an option. We stopped chasing headlines and started shaping systems people depended on without ever knowing my name. That was the real victory. One afternoon, during a quarterly strategy review, someone suggested rebranding again, dropping all remnants of the past. I declined. Names are history, I said, and history keeps you honest. Victor Halle vanished from relevance. Occasionally his name surfaced in obscure articles. Failed ventures, quiet property sales, a life shrinking instead of expanding. No redemption arc, no dramatic comeback. Just the slow consequence of losing credibility. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt distance. Maya sent one final message 6 months after our cafe meeting. I hope you're happy. I never replied. Not out of spite, out of completion. My life no longer required her reaction. On a rare free evening, I returned to Riverside Bay, not to revisit pain, but to recalibrate. I walked past the old apartment building, different tenants, different lights. No ghosts waiting for me. That version of me had done his job. He survived long enough for me to arrive. Back in the city, I stood in my office overlooking the skyline, watching systems I built to operate at scale. Thousands of decisions happening every second. Clean, efficient, intentional. That's what growth really looks like. Not revenge, not dominance. Alignment. Alignment. I used to think success would prove something to the people who doubted me. I was wrong. Success is proof you no longer need to. If there's a lesson in all of this, it's simple and unforgiving. People who leave when things are hard don't get to return when things are easy. People who underestimate you don't get front row seats to your future. And the most dangerous thing you can do to someone who tried to break you: live well, build quietly, and never look back. End.